Hi, my name is Natasha Sanchez, and I am going to talk to you about the youth sports programs, specifically Chandler Girls Softball. It is a program that is run in Arizona, specifically the city of Chandler runs it. It is a nonprofit organization, so I will get to that. But first, the first question that we were told to cover was explaining issues that youth was facing in the system. So the juvenile justice system is set up differently than the adult system. It's largely in part of parentis parte. This is like more about the judges having the decision instead of a jury. And this is actually unfortunate because it leads to the ability for discrimination to come out a little more easier. Because the judge has all of the say. Minorities actually make up 81% of all of the juveniles in the juvenile justice system. African American juveniles account for the majorities of these minorities in the system. And they're actually are more likely to deal with the discriminations than adults. So out of that 81%, they actually have to deal with it more than the adults that deal with it in the adult system. So there is actually African American youth are more likely to be placed in a facility than white youth are, and they're actually white youth are more likely to be placed on probation. And we saw this in the beginning of the class, like in chapters 1 and 2, when we were talking about female and males and whites and African Americans, when that was also talked about, when adults were also placed separately in systems. So I thought that was kind of sad again, and kind of very the same, that we're still dealing with that even though our children are having that same problem. And then lastly, the research found at the beginning stages kind of sets compounding risks. So the more likely it is that African Americans are to be found, to be referred into the criminal justice system, it's the more likely that minorities are going to be kept in the criminal justice system. So the more likely they are arrested, or the more likely they are kind of pushed into the system, meaning caught for shoplifting, or got a ticket or whatever it is, kind of shoved into the system, they're going to keep going into the system, and it's going to just keep the cycle up and that cycle moving and all that kind of stuff. So it just kind of compounds the risk of them continuing with that system. Okay, so moving on to the youth sports. So again, I'm going to specifically focus on youth sports in city leagues, and I've chosen Chandler Girls Softball. It is a youth league that's based in Chandler, Arizona. They play at one park in Arizona. It's called Foley Park. It's kind of by Chandler and Arizona Avenue, if you are familiar with that area. So the mission of Chandler Girls Softball is to provide Chandler and its neighboring communities a positive and safe environment for girls ages 5 to 18, the equal opportunity to play softball, to honor the game by encouraging good sportsmanship, teamwork, and physical well-being while developing fundamental skills of softball, and to ensure that all players are treated and valued as team members while building lasting relationships and having fun. So this actual organization has been around from since the 1980s, and it's actually something that I personally have dealt with, my children have personally dealt with, my parents are involved in, and so that's actually why I chose it, because I know that it's making a difference for the community, and I know, not necessarily know, but I feel like I feel like there are some changes that can be made for it to kind of help better. So the area that it's in, in the 1980s is definitely a different area than it's in now. And so I feel like it is the same park, but you know how areas change. So I feel like it could have changes to kind of change with the area. So again, it serves the youth ages 5 to 18, but it only serves girl. And I understand it's Chandler girls softball, but it only serves girls. And a lot of the boys is boys baseball. And those leagues are somewhat hard to get into. I have a son and a daughter, and so I personally know how hard it is and how full those baseball leagues get so quickly that it's not necessarily a fair fight for boys. And some of those leagues you have to try out for to be put on a certain team. And Chandler Girls is there's no tryouts, there's no nothing. You're literally put in a pool and then you're drawn out, and this is what team you're put on, and you get what you get, which is actually pretty cool because then it's kind of unfair. I mean, it's kind of not unfair because it is what it is. So funding sources for this, it's literally all funded by neighboring organizations. So things like Big Five, Dick's, they had like Bank of America, Bell's Auto Source, Bighorn Law, Chandler Dogs, Chapman Dodge Scottsdale, McDonald's, Ace Hardware. They have very, very, very big sponsorships, and then they have teeny tiny ones, as in Gary's Automotive, which is across the street, and it's a teeny tiny little automotive place. But they literally go down to a single person. When my friend's father passed away, the mom and the kids got together and asked for donations to sponsor a team, and that in turn was John's Angels, and they sponsored a team for that year. So it can be down to the biggest team to the smallest a person's donation. So I really like that even one person can make a difference in a little girl's life by just letting them play. There is a fee to play. You have to, I think it's like $45 to play, but they do have scholarships. So it's not like you need to show me your income scholarship. It's more of you tell me you need a scholarship and you can get a scholarship. And this is all research that I've actually done with them personally. And I have actually received a scholarship personally. Well, my daughter has received a scholarship personally from them. My husband was on deployment last summer and we went home, and so she received a scholarship last year. Okay, so positives, it definitely helps with team building, with social skills, with learning how to work together, how to win together, how to lose together, all of those things, because no matter what, like win or lose, you're doing it together. Negatives, again, only serves girls. It also, doing some other research, it also promotes aggressiveness. In some other articles that I found online, sports sometimes promotes aggressiveness, especially when you're playing some more aggressive sports, and that in turn becomes a problem. So there is that. Yeah. So I just think I really do like this organization, and I think that it's, cool. So I did want to show you my references real quick. I did this so you guys can see them. Okay. And then really quick, I know this is kind of like off topic, but I wanted to show you guys because I thought this was cool. This is me and my dad and the team from 1994 when I was 5 years old. And then, just so that, sorry about that. And then this is my daughter playing on her little team. Oops, sorry. My daughter on her little team last summer. And I just thought it was cool that generation to generation that it can be passed down, and that it can make a difference in one person's life or one person's demeanor. And it is something it can make a difference. Getting involved in something and getting your children involved in something can make a difference. just that one little spark of joy can change them from being wanting to do something bad to wanting to do something different. So I just thought that was cool. Thank you guys.